Hello, my name is Maddie. Welcome back to my channel. As you might have already figured out, we're talking about Wicked today. Who's shocked? No one. Literally no one. For context, as the title may explain, I have seen Wicked 4 times now. Sorry about my voice. I don't know what's going on with me. Another piece of context that is important is I've never seen the Broadway musical. Not something that I've had the privilege to do because I don't live in New York. I really wanted to go to the showings that they had in LA, but I'm not willing to pay $400 for a ticket. So thankfully, though, I do have access to the internet, so I've seen many YouTube videos detailing the lore of all the things that I needed to know before going in. So I know a lot about all the books and the rest of the musical as well, like Act 2 that they didn't do in the first movie. Also, this video is going to contain spoilers, as you might imagine, so take that as you will. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to talk about what I thought about the movie, things that I noticed and I have to say out loud because I can't keep talking to my sister about them. She's already heard me say it like 30 million times. And so I need to say it out loud somewhere else. So this is my compromise. I'm going to share it on the internet. How about that? So I wrote down a bunch of things and they're mostly in order. Sometimes the point I'm making has two examples from different parts of the movie, so it's a little bit out of order, but for the most part, it's all in order how the movie goes. And I'm just going to talk about things that either I noticed or like my thoughts on whatever was going on. First thing I have on here is in the very beginning when we're hearing about Elphaba's backstory from Glinda, and it's like the part when her dad starts singing to her mom because he's leaving. And he like does this high note that I really didn't like. And that is not like me trying to say that I didn't like the actor's singing voice. That is not me saying that. I just don't like the high note. I think regardless of who did the high note, I don't like it. It's when he says sight. I've listened to the soundtrack millions of times as well, and I want to skip it every time. Second thing I have on here is I just hate the wizard and all of his songs. So this is once again no hate to the actor. I think Jeff Goldblum is a fantastic actor. I know you're supposed to hate the wizard. That's literally the whole point, and I do hate the wizard. They made me hate him a lot actually. He's just so like annoying. I don't like him, and I just don't like his little songs because I don't like him. I'm like, you're a little like snake. I don't like you. So I'm not gonna hear him out in his little songs about being a sentimental man. Disagree. Okay, the third thing I have on here is when we cut back to No One Mourns the Wicked, and they pull out the whole like stick, I guess statue or whatever you want to call it. I forget what the actual word is of Elphaba. My only question is, where were they hiding that thing? Like, where was it before they decided that they were gonna burn it because she died? I'm so confused. Like, was it just in someone's garage? Like, it's like ginormous too. Like, I don't know how they were hiding that from people. If someone can explain this to me, please do. I would greatly appreciate that. I don't know, maybe the books do. I don't know if that's also in the musical. I'm assuming it is. Do they explain that anywhere where they say, oh yeah, they just like, they were building that for a while and they were just kind of keeping it on the back burner? Like, I don't know. Yeah, if someone has an answer, please let me know. Next thing is the head shizdress, which is a crazy word in my opinion, is the bearded lady from the Greatest Showman. I actually saw someone tweet about that. And I was like, oh. Remember, I heard that after the first time I watched it because I knew she looked familiar, but I was like, I don't know who this woman is. Once I saw that, every time I watched it after that, I'm like, that's the bearded lady. That's not really important. It's just something I noticed. Once again, I just have to say it out loud. Next thing on here is that I hate Elphaba's dad, which is like, no shit, Maddie, you're supposed to. Like, they make him unlikable for a reason. But I really don't like him. Once again, not the actor. He did a great job of being a horrible person. Yeah, I just don't like his character. He makes me want to like punch the screen like so badly. Okay, this next one's kind of silly. So the first time that I actually ever saw the film, you know, when they go to class for the first time, Dr. Dillman's class to be specific, and he's teaching them about history or whatever, and he like flips over the chalkboard and it says animals should be seen not heard. So the first time I saw this, I thought that someone was making fun of him for being short because he's a goat. Yeah, it didn't really dawn on me that they were trying to take away the animals' voices because technically you don't really know that yet. I don't remember if they introduced like that plot line yet, but regardless, I did not know that. I thought that someone was making fun of him because he was like shorter. Now I know. Okay, I promise that I get it now, but yeah. It's a humbling moment for sure. Speaking of that, I didn't understand why they were taking the animals' voices away. The first time I was like, well, I don't understand like why that would be necessary. Now I get it. Now I understand that it is taking a right away from them. Just took a couple watches, okay? I'm a slow learner. I got it eventually. Moving right along, I have Dancing Through Life. The high note at the beginning that Jonathan Bailey does, once again, no hate to Jonathan Bailey. Anybody who would have done this high note, I wouldn't have liked it. It's when he says like invite stressing. I didn't like that, and I still don't like listening to it when I listen to the soundtrack. I have sensitive ears, I guess. I don't really know what it is with high notes. It's just like I just didn't like it. Next one is I actually thought that the lighting in What Is This Feeling when Glinda and Elphaba are laying in their beds, and then Glinda turns on her light and it's like pink and then it goes across, like it shines on Elphaba's face too. I thought that lighting choice was really, really cool. I'm not like a film critic or anything. I don't know anything about color theory. Don't ask me. I don't know. But I did that. I thought that was a cool shot. I liked that. Speaking of what is this feeling, I actually made a comment on an Instagram post I saw, and it was like a choreography. There's something about like this specific scene. It's when Glinda and the rest of the student body apparently is walking up to, I'm assuming, a class. I'm unsure, but they have like the books. It's like the first part of the choreo. There's something about Ariana's facial expressions that are so Dove Cameron. Like they're so much giving Dove Cameron. Commented this on said video that I saw. A lot of people apparently agreed with me because they liked my comment. I was like, well, they appreciate it. I don't know if I can put in the video, but if I can, I'll try and put like a little clip so then somebody knows what I'm talking about. But if you agree with me, please let me know because I think I'm going crazy. Yeah, it's just like something that she does with her face. I'm like, that looks like Dove Cameron. It's really only in this part of the movie though. Like I didn't really get that vibe anywhere else. It's just like just during this number. And before anyone says that Dove Cameron was also considered for the role, I know. Okay, I'm very aware. Somebody replied to my comment and said, "Oh yeah, well Dove Cameron was also considered for the role." And I was like, okay, like I already knew that. Next is my favorite joke from the movie is when Dr. Dillman is speaking with his animal friends in like their little hideout. I don't remember the exact dialogue, but it's something he says like my dear friend, and then one of the other animals is like, "Oh, it's a deer." And he's like, "No, a cow actually." So funny. It's so funny. It gets me chuckling every time. I love it because it sounds like a joke that I would make. My sister can attest to this. I make the worst jokes ever, like the worst puns imaginable. And so I really liked seeing that representation of bad jokes. For example, my favorite joke to make is using the phrase, "let me be frank with you." Afterwards, every single time I will say, "Imagine my name is Frank." Who thinks it's funny? No one. No one except for me, but I say it anyway. Another one of my favorite jokes is when Fiero comes to wish Elphaba goodbye when she's going off to Emerald City, and he goes up to her and says, "I've been thinking," and she just says, "I heard." So good. Love it. That was a good one too. And then in the Emerald City, I think everybody kind of loved it when we had Kristen and Adina make their cameo. Oh my gosh, it got me so excited. I've never seen the Broadway musical, but I did know that they were original Glinda and Elphaba, so I thought that was really cute. I loved that for them. Also, they looked stunning. I also really liked the part that they added to the song because I know that the part where they like give the backstory of the Grimmery is like they don't do that in the musical, but I really thought it was a good ad. Also, when Adina does the original riff from Defying Gravity, it's literally like music to my ears, man. I'm so funny. It's funny because it's literally music, and the phrase "music to my ears" is usually used with sounds that aren't actually music, but this is actually music, so that's why it's funny. Oh, brother, this guy stinks! Speaking of Grimmery lore, obviously the wizard makes up the words for the Grimmery when they're like, "Oh yeah, read it." And I think it's really funny that he just chose those words in specific. Like he just named a city in Nebraska and called it a day. Also, I really don't like the word Grimmery. I know that's from the books, and so that they came up with that. I just don't think it's a good name for a magical book. In my opinion, the best magical book name is the Enchiridion from Adventure Time. I'm not really sure why, but I just really like that name. I think it really encapsulates magic book. So I think that all magical items from now on should be just called the Enchiridion. Think of any magical item from any fantasy series, I'm like, that's the Enchiridion. Sorry, it just is. Now we're moving on to every part of the film that made me cry. This could take a while. So the second, third, and the fourth time that I watched this was during No One Mourns the Wicked, because at that point I'd already seen the movie. Obviously, it's just part one, so you don't even get to see their relationship progress in the second part, but I mean, it doesn't really do that in the second part. The way that they like bond with each other. And so No One Mourns the Wicked, and then Glinda is singing specifically about her like when she says she died alone. Yeah, it's sad. It's sad. Her friend died. It's unfortunate. But anyway, so that made me cry. It didn't make me cry the first time because I didn't understand. I was like, yeah, like that's sad. I didn't have the emotional understanding. Second thing is The Wizard and I. Every time, it's like Cynthia's vocals. I don't know what it is, but it's like something about her vocals is like it makes me cry every time. Even listening to the soundtrack, I cry. It's quite unfortunate. But yeah, she just has so much emotion in her voice that I can't. My body just can't handle it. Next is the dancing scene at the Ozdas between Elphaba and Glinda. I understand that it's supposed to be emotional, and they did it very correctly because it makes me cry every single time. It also doesn't help that there's music behind it, but it's so quiet, so it makes you just like sit with what's in front of you. It's also just so special because they're both so vulnerable, especially Glinda's like switch that she has at the beginning when she wants everyone to like her. When Elphaba shows up to Shiz, Glinda's like, "Oh, well, I'm gonna study in sorcery, so I can address the problem there, if you'd like." But she only says that because she wants other people around her to be like, "Wow, she's such a good person, no way." And I'm sure she probably would have done it, given like a certain circumstance for public approval. You know what I mean? It's at this point that Glinda, like, she just kind of throws that away a little bit. I mean, obviously it comes back, but for that moment specifically, and specifically for Elphaba, because when Glinda goes in to dance with her, her friends are like, no, what are you doing? And she's like, no, I'm gonna dance with her. It's like going against everything that she was even striving for in the first place. And I just think that's so beautiful. Love it. Next one is literally all of Defying Gravity, like the entire song pretty much. But if you want specific points where I just start crying and then I continue to cry, but then it just like comes back again. In specifics, we have when they sing the chorus together and they're both holding onto the broom. When Glinda cries, putting the cape on Elphaba. When Elphaba gets the broom to fly and she starts singing, I think it's the bridge. I actually don't know. I'm not a song expert. I don't know terms very well, but it's when she starts. So if you care to find me, look to the western sky. That part. Um, Once again, Cynthia's vocals absolutely fucking insane, dude. It just like it makes me cry every day. It's amazing. After the unlimited reprise and she sings the end of the song, like the no one in all of Oz, no wizard that there is or was, that part. And then obviously the note at the end. Obviously. I think that Cynthia's like rendition of it, fucking fantastic. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love Adina's original one. I think it's great. But this one, I love what they did with it. It's just so good. I love it. Now for my favorite songs of the movie, we have The Wizard and I. What is this feeling? Me and my sister sing this one all the time. Like it's so problematic actually. It gets really annoying after a while, but we don't care. We sing it anyway. Popular, Defying Gravity, obviously, because who doesn't like that song? And I always get I'm Not That Girl stuck in my head, so I'll count that one as well. No One Mourns the Wicked is also a great song. It took me a while to appreciate it, but now I do. So that kind of counts for all of them, basically. Also, in particular, every single part, I swear, of Dancing Through Life gets stuck in my head without fail. I don't really know how that's possible, but yeah. Lately, it's been the part with Nessa and Ethan Slater when he's like, listen, Nessa, and she goes, yes, and he's like, Nessa? Yeah, no, that part gets stuck in my head all the time. Also, I didn't write this down, but now I'm talking about it, that part of the song, and Bach is trying to tell Nessa, like, the real reason he asked her to dance, and then he, like, lies or whatever and says that she's beautiful. Well, I don't know if he lied about her being beautiful, but whatever. He just didn't tell her that it was because of Glinda or whatever. And he says, let's dance. And then he holds the let's dance note a lot longer. It sounds so much like SpongeBob. I'm so sorry. I really tried to separate his SpongeBob character from him in this movie just because like that's what I should have been doing. But and was doing pretty well except for that note. There was something about that note. I was like, oh my god, that's so SpongeBob. I hope that maybe this encourages someone to go listen to it because you'll know what I'm talking about. You really will. The second Let's Dance. That's kind of all I had to say about this movie. I thought it was a great movie. I already did a video where I talked about how good the movie was, so I mean, what's there more to say? But those are just all the really random thoughts that I had about this movie. I can't wait for part 2. I'm very excited to see what they do with it just because they really expand a lot from what I've heard. So that's really all I had for today. Be sure to check out my channel, please. Also, I want to say thank you so much for the fucking love on the Jonas video. Dude, that video took me forever to export. I mentioned that in the description, but nobody reads descriptions. So, yeah, no, it took me forever to export. I don't even want to talk about it. My computer's so stupid. But, yeah, but I'm so glad that it did so well. Like, people really liked it. So I got, like, 3 comments on it. I was like, oh my god, that's crazy. Because, like, that's a lot for me in case you were wondering. And yeah, so I really appreciate everyone who watched that video because I worked very hard on it. And I really needed that to happen so that I didn't just like waste my time watching a really dumb show. That's all I've got. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.